With 8 months to the March 4th, 2013 elections, already daggers are drawn and politicians have come out guns blazing in a contest to eclipse their political rivals. The battle for the presidency remains the most mysterious contest, with every day providing new fodder to tilt presidential realignments. Political pundits, however, say, despite the complex dynamics of our politics, one factor in the presidential elections remained constant since the advent of multipartyism in 1992.
It's really a pity that in the politics of this country, we have not been able to come up with political platforms that are driven by particular issues, be those issues economic or social issues. Instead, our politics tends to be politics of personality.
There's always a tendency in any elections to have, forces against the incumbent.
So is the incumbency jinxed, or is it that it excites a lot of opposition, generating both love and hate against the incumbent in equal measures?
Obviously, it's more difficult to remove someone from power than to put someone in power.
A quick flashback to the 1997 general election. It was former President Daniel Moi on the former ruling party KANU against a stiff opposition onslaught led by President Mwai Kibaki, then Democratic Party presidential contender. Opposition then was disjointed, with several parties clamoring to dethrone Moi from the presidency, but ended up splitting their votes and were handed a whipping at the polls.
If we go back to the 90s, the elections, especially after the first multi-party elections, one thing which seemed to come to the fore was the fight against Moi, that people wanted to get Moi out.
In 2002, a rejuvenated opposition coalesced to form the National Rainbow Coalition to hand first-timer presidential candidate Uhuru Kenyatta considered Moi's project a defeat in that election. President Mwai Kibaki ascended to power, succeeding Moi in the country's first defeat of an incumbent-sponsored candidate.
The opposition kind of coalesced against Uhuru. That Uhuru was seen as the incumbent, in quotes, in the sense that he was being prepared by Moi.
Fast forward to 2013 elections, history appears keen to repeat itself.
The politics of either pushing Raila Odinga into power as an individual, irrespective of his history, irrespective of any issues that relate to his performance as Prime Minister. It's him as an individual on the one hand, and on the other, it is a strategy to block him.
More often than not, the incumbent is usually accused of deploying state machinery in their campaigns to maintain grip of power. But the 2013 elections provide a dicey kind of matrix, with both Vice President Kalonzo Musyoka and Prime Minister Raila Odinga high in the government's pecking order, and President Mwai Kibaki out of the political contest, who remains to be the political villain as the incumbent.
Obviously, the Prime Minister is seen as the incumbent, in the sense that he's in the government and he's now, running for presidency. Now he wants to be the president.
The sins committed during the coalition government are partially attributable to him. So if there are any sins that have been committed over the last 5 years, he would still need to answer to some of those sins as part of, the principles.
Prime Minister Raila Odinga, as if conceding to the battle of the incumbency, says the next general election will be a two-horse contest. A 41-against-1 political card of some sorts. Already opposition against the Prime Minister has tilted the scales, with virtually majority of presidential aspirants talking of forming coalitions with everyone but the Prime Minister.
Politicians will always respond to a particular thing. So because one of them said this election is going to be, I think it was the Prime Minister, that these elections are going to be about reforms, then of course the others have to respond to that.
Political punches are flying all over, with the presidential aspirants attacking each other's character. Matters of constitution implementation and socio-economic issues have been given a cold shoulder, usually mentioned in passing in the campaign trail.
It's a strategy of polarization, that you are either with us, reformers, or you are not with us, and therefore you are a non-reformer. And I think this is always very dangerous politics because it does not address the key issues. And I think it is really an opportunity for Kenyans to start asking the tough questions. of our leaders.
It is a high-stakes game that has retrogressed to ethnic balkanization and the jostling of financial muscle to outpace opposition in the race to State House. Sam Ogina for Spotlight 2012.